Hi, my name's Felicia Rashida, also known as Miss Tell It As It Is. And in the last video, I shared a little bit about how Cezanne's third eye was shut down, but I didn't want to go into too much detail because it was meant to be about me, innit? Because it's Mental Health Week, Cezanne's asked me to share a little bit more about what happened when she had that mental breakdown because it was quite public and it destroyed her character and her business. Because she was quite well known in a good way before that psychic attack, which made her nearly commit suicide and put her on that psychic ward for a month. It wasn't the first psychic attack, and she's also had to put up with spiritual and technological attacks as well. Did you notice how Cezanne didn't write or paint anything for a few years? That was after the tech attack, which shut down her natural ability to see into the spiritual realm. And because she doesn't write or paint from this third dimension, she just stopped creating. But then she thought, well, I've got to do something with myself. And since getting a 9-to-5 job was out of the equation, she started doing the self-love retreat in the Gambia, innit? I went. It was brilliant. But just as she was setting up a retreat home over there to be able to offer cheap holidays, she came under a huge psychic attack, which made her almost kill herself. A psychic attack is a suggestion planted in the subconscious mind while you're asleep, so when you wake up, you think it's your idea. Cezanne said when she woke up that morning, her eye was out here and she had this sudden urge to kill herself, which she had to carry out. She said the best way to understand a psychic attack is to watch the film Inception, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Cezanne thinks they've been trying to stop her from getting her message out. Either that or she's para. A lot of people think she's paranoid actually, but I reckon if you'd been through what she'd been through, you'd be para too. But I digress. So anyway, Cezanne's been writing her story and she's going to start publishing parts of it on her blog every week. She doesn't write blogs regularly anymore because it's heavily monitored by agents, but she said she don't care, she's going to publish them anyway. Actually now she's got protection. She said she didn't even know she needed protection before, she could just put her stuff out there freely. But when she was on the psycho ward, one of the nurses told her that she could tell the difference between someone who's got a mental illness and someone who's under demonic attack, as she put it. She was African, innit? She said Cezanne's was a demonic attack and said to her, "Don't you know how to do back to sender prayers?" The next day, she gave Cezanne a book on how to do back to sender prayers, and she never saw her again. But all the doctors on the ward were trying to label her as psychotic so they could push their drugs on her, but Cezanne refused to take any of them. Luckily, she wasn't sectioned, so they couldn't force her. She was only there on observation because she'd almost committed suicide. Cezanne calls doctors legalised drug pushers. Now, just in case anything happens to me, I did not try to kill myself and I am not suicidal, okay? There's lots of ways Cezanne's learned to protect herself, and she's taught me some too, because there's no way I'd be out here talking about all this stuff without protection after seeing what Cezanne went through, do you know what I mean? But sometimes she forgets to keep up the protocol because she feels so good. And then she comes crying to me because she can't think straight and her mind's being bombarded with all these negative thoughts. So I say to her, "Have you taken your meds?" I'm not talking about big pharma drugs, I'm talking about plant meds, innit? That's how she knows the thoughts aren't hers, because it only happens when she forgets to take her meds. We don't take any of them chemical drugs apart from DMT, and even that's found naturally in the brain. We also listen to frequencies to flush the subconscious mind as part of our protocol. Anyway, it took Cezanne 3 years to recover from that psychic attack, because even while she was healing, they were still trying to attack her. That's why it took so long. But what's so special about Cezanne? Why she would come under so much attack in the first place? If you read her book, you might get an idea, but if you're not much of a reader like me, you can listen to the audiobooks because she recorded them while she was still in recovery. I'll put the link in the description for you to download the ebook and the audiobooks, because the ebook features 8 of her paintings which incorporate colour therapy, and the audiobooks feature 14 of her poems to music, so you get the whole visual and audible experience. So if you've got one of these pads, this is what it will look like when you download the PDF, and you can even download it onto your phone. But let me see if I can find one of her paintings. I think there wasn't any in the first 2 chapters actually, because Charles didn't start painting until year 3. But anyway, let me see if I can find one quickly. That's still year 2. And we're coming into year 3 now, I think. Oh yes, look, here we go. So all her paintings are featured in the novel. I'm going to put the link to her website where you can go and view all her artwork, and you can download them as screensavers for your phone and your laptop or any of your devices. You can download her artwork onto your thing. Okay, so that's that. Now for the audiobooks, Cezanne's youngest son, Azzy, did all the intro and outro music and some other music as well. Like she recorded a poem which she didn't record before because it was too sad. But when she actually recorded it for the audiobook, it came out really well actually. It's really well put together thanks to her brother Antonio Noel. So all during lockdown, Cezanne was going to her brother's house to record the audiobooks for you. Now, for some reason, Audible wouldn't accept them, so she's put them up on her website and you can download them from there. Now, because they're quite big files, I suggest making a little bit of space on your phone, download the Audible books, the audio book, and when you finish listening to it, delete it before you download the next one. And don't worry because you've got unlimited downloads. Cezanne says her novel is her life's work and her contribution to helping her community to heal. So read it or not. Ultimately, Cezanne's goal is to get her novel turned into a film because she knows a lot of her people ain't going to sit and read a book, but they will go and watch a film. Do you know what I mean? Now, when Cezanne wrote the first edition of her novel back in 2010, she said she used to get visions and downloads naturally. She said she would wake up in the middle of the night and be like... She even told me that one night she woke up and it was like she was watching a film and all she had to do was try to capture the emotion of the scene she was seeing. It was the part where Cezanne and Charles just got back together again. So they're sitting on the bed and Charles swings his legs off the bed, puts his head in his hands and starts crying. And then Cezanne comes up behind him, pressing her bare breasts against his back. And she starts crying too, because in that moment they both realise that their relationship would never be the same again. Now, I've still got my copy of the first edition and the second edition, and I'm patiently waiting for my third edition because they just seem to get better and better. Cezanne said she's finally happy with it now. She started writing the sequel. Phew! Because I tell you, I've been on this journey with her since the first edition and it ain't been easy, I tell you. Soon, I'm going to tell you what I liked about the book, and then I'm going to introduce you to Christina, Letitia and Portia so they can tell you what they liked about it as well, because we all liked it from different perspectives. I met them on Cezanne's self-love retreat and we kept in contact because we collaborated on a poem while we were there called I Need a Man, and Cezanne liked it so much that she's included it in year 1 of the 3rd edition. You can download year 1 free at journeyofassister.com. But I recommend getting the whole book because once you start, you ain't going to want to stop. She's also written us into the 3rd edition. It's brilliant. I can't wait for her to do the film. Now, that's it from me. Now, that video that I told you about in the last video is taking a bit longer than anticipated to finish because we have to do a video for it before we can upload it to YouTube, innit? Cezanne's youngest son did the beats for my rapping and her ex Owen did the visuals for her guided visualization. So it should definitely be up by the weekend. Just hold on. In the meantime, you can watch all my previous videos or you can listen to Cezanne's audiobooks. I'll put the links in the description. And if you have any trouble downloading the ebooks or the audiobooks, drop me a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Toodaloo!